I bid you all good morning, good evening, and good night, wherever you may be watching this transmission. It is I, Mike Martins, broadcasting from Merritt, British Columbia, bringing you an article that has been text, Instagrammed, messaged via Facebook, Facebook Messenger, and sent to me via Instagram. What are we talking about? Federal Reserve cuts rates to zero and launches massive $700 billion quantitative easing program. This was posted an hour and 45 minutes ago, and I wanted to throw this up for you guys because this is actually a really big deal. This is a bigger deal than anyone could ever imagine. I've been forecasting on the channel, we're going to go into negative rates. We're going to go into negative rates. We're going to go into negative rates. If Europe's doing it, guess what? Europe's always a few months ahead, whether it's in fashion, whether it's in music, whether it's in certain things. Europe is usually ahead when it comes to that kind of stuff. Now, with banking, it looks like Europe may be ahead with negative interest rates and with them removing cash because of the virus that's happening. So here goes. In an emergency move Sunday, the Federal Reserve announced it is dropping its benchmark interest rate to zero and launching a new round of quantitative easing. So more taxpayers' money injected into the system. The QE program would entail $700 billion worth of asset purchases, entailing treasuries and mortgage-backed securities. Again, bailing out the homeowners, bailing out the banks, bailing out the bigwigs. The Federal Reserve saying the COVID outbreak has harmed communities. No, it hasn't. It has done more despair and more panic, in my opinion, and disrupted economic activity in many countries, including the United States. Cut interest rates to near zero on Sunday and launched a massive $700 billion quantitative easing program to shelter the economy from the effects of the virus. Facing highly disrupted financial markets, the Fed also slashed the rate of emergency lending at the discount window for banks by 125 basis points to 0.25% and lengthened the term of loans to 90 days. So here they are. So they're extending the amortization or the term, and basically giving the money away for free. Why? To bail out companies that should be and corporations that should be going out of business. If you can't keep up or you can't keep the economy afloat and you have to throw money into the markets, it's not a good sign. And we've seen through history, many countries try doing this, but none as strong as America. So America could possibly drag this on for longer than, let's say, places like Zimbabwe and other countries that have just basically printed and paid their debts back with debt they're creating to pay back their debts and then deleverage whatever they could, then reinvest it back into any mortgages. That's why we're not seeing any growth, and we're not going to be seeing any growth anytime soon at these measures. And we're going to see our money or whatever we have in savings go into inflation, serious inflation mode. The new funds rate and used to benchmark both short-term lending and financial institutions and as a peg to many consumer rates will now be targeted at 0 to 0.25. So people that are in very huge dire straits in the United States, they will be getting, will be going to refinance their mortgages come Monday morning and Tuesday and Thursday, Wednesday and Thursday and Friday. They'll be coming to refinance their mortgages quick in a heartbeat to get the best rates they can possible to save as much as they can on their mortgage payments so they can kind of de-stress a bit. But on the long term, we're just kicking the can down the road. The Fed also cut reserve requirements for thousands of banks to zero. In addition, in global coordinate move by central banks, the Fed said the Bank of Canada, the Bank of England, and the Bank of Japan, and the European Central Bank, the Federal Reserve, and the Swiss National Bank took action to enhance dollar liquidity around the world through existing dollar swap agreements. Yeah. The bank lowered the rate on the swap line loans and extended the period for such loans. Fed Chairman Jerome Powell is scheduled to hold a press conference via telephone at 6:30 p.m. Eastern Time. So that's going to be soon here. The actions by the Fed appeared to be the largest single-day set of moves the bank had ever taken, mirroring in many ways its efforts during the financial crisis that were rolled out over several months. Sunday's move includes multiple programs, rate cuts, and QE, but all in a single day. So what they're doing is they're doing the triple entente. They got the rate cuts, the repo, the injection, the QE, the whatever you want to call it. They are blasting it. They're full blasting it. The quantitative easing will take from $500 billion of the Treasury and $200 billion of agency-backed mortgage securities. Oh, that's just terrible. The Fed said the purchases will begin Monday with a $40 billion installment. The Fed cut rates from the previous target range of 1% to 1.25% and said it would remain there until it is confident that the economy has weathered the event or is in track to achieve its maximum employment and price stability goals. Cleveland Fed President Loretta Mester was the lone no vote, preferring to set rates at 0.5 to 0.75, which would have represented a 50 basis point of half a percentage point reduction. The Fed added in a statement that it is prepared to use its full range of tools to support the flow of credit to households. That's the problem. Flow of credit to households. That's a huge issue because how much of it is going to be in the workers' hands, right? And businesses and thereby promote its maximum employment and price stability goals. It appeared, though it was not entirely clear, that the meeting that took place will replace the regularly scheduled meeting of the Federal Open Market Committee. Yeah, what about that? Has that been... The move follows several actions by the Fed over the past 2 weeks in which it enacted a 50 basis point emergency rate cut and expand the overnight credit offering or repo for the financial system up to $1.5 trillion. So we see where things are headed here, guys. This is a perfect storm when we got defaults going up, household defaults, mortgage defaults, personal debt defaults, student loan. You can't really default on student loans because it's been federalized, but federal student loan defaults, you're getting all kinds of issues. And that's just on the household level. But then you got the corporate level, you got the banking level that has failed miserably after deregulating our banking systems and removing acts, laws, provisions that were put into place to protect the average Joe Donuts that has no idea what's going on with the entire federal governmental banking and lending system. These regulations that were put in that became deregularized will have a lot of Americans and people here in the West waking up and coming to grips to understanding a meltdown. One morning we will wake up to a massive, huge meltdown. We're going to see a melt up in the markets come Monday morning here in the West. We will see a melt up, huge. But is this going to bring the huge meltdown later? Or is America strong enough to keep this crap going for another 6 months, 6 to 8 months? Or where's our friend Covey headed? Is our friend Covey going to weaken out and die off? Or is Covey going to get stronger? Is Covey going to make its round? Is anyone safe from Covey? Feds had no choice. They're out of tools. Now they're borrowing. So what they're doing is basically I'll make this as simple as possible. I go to a department store, a big box department store. I want to buy food for my family and a bit of supplies I need for the house and a little bit of hardware things I need for the garden. But I don't have any money to give to the big box store. But I'm going to write them an IOU and how much it is, and I'm going to give them to that. I'm going to give the big box store and they let me take my goods. But I have an IOU with them. I go back, start doing that every couple of months, and I just give them my IOUs. But I don't have the money to give them. I realistically don't have the liquidity to give them. I just don't have it. But now what's happening now is the big box store. Now it's paying its debts off with my IOUs, and it's buying supplies for its store or its big box store from distributors with my IOUs. They're accepting my IOUs, repackaging them, and then someone else is buying the IOU that produces the products, who gives it to the distributors. Right? And then the distributors are, and so this is, you got, guys, I just wish people knew how dangerous this is right now, and how this is going to leave a lot of people, basically one morning waking up, watching what's going on, and taking a crash course on a market meltdown, and how our government or governments or world governments and banking sectors and banking entities have basically let us down this whole time and did not do anything for the common Joe Donuts. Regulations put in place to protect us so we don't have to watch the banking systems and what they're doing, but the media doesn't do its job and actually divulge the money laundering, the bank scandals, the bad loans on the books. They don't care about that, right? Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. I want to know. I'll be reading your comments later. Federal Reserve rate cuts to zero and launches massive $700 billion quantitative easing program. See you later, guys. Have a good day. Happy Sunday.